Your brake pedal is sinking right now and you have not noticed yet. The fluid inside your master cylinder has been absorbing water since the day you drove off the lot, and after 2 years, that water can take your braking ability down with it. Dealers charge between $100 and $200 every 2 years to fix this. There is a $15 trick that ASE Master Techs use on their own cars that solves it in 20 minutes in your driveway. The big chains are counting on you to never find out. 5 mistakes, 5 solutions. Let us start. Mistake number 5, the dealership flush quote. Walk into a Honda dealer for a brake fluid service and you will see a quote between $135 and $159. Walk into a BMW dealer and Kelley Blue Book lists the average between $173 and $205, with luxury European platforms pushing past $228. Industry cost guides confirm labor makes up roughly 80% of that invoice. The actual fluid in the bottle costs between $6 and $20 retail. You are paying around $120 in labor for a job that takes a trained tech under 1 hour. But here is what they do not tell you. A shop survey from Brake and Front End notes that around 58% of vehicles on the road have ABS, and the moment moisture contaminates your fluid, those tiny isolation and dump valves inside the ABS modulator start to corrode. The Land Auto Repair in Cleveland lists ABS hydraulic unit replacement at $650 to $1,500 plus programming. So the dealer charges you $200 every 2 years to prevent a $1,500 failure they helped create by overpricing the prevention. At $200 every 2 years for 40 years of ownership, that is $4,000 in brake fluid service alone. But it gets worse. The next mistake is where they actually make money on purpose by doing less work, and the damage compounds in silence. Mistake number 4, the topped off but never flushed routine. This is the one that quietly destroys ABS modules. You go in for an oil change at a quick lube, they tell you your brake fluid looks fine, maybe a little low, and they top it off. Fresh fluid goes in on top of dirty fluid and you drive away thinking the system is healthy. According to a B Puro Auto Bulletin, 1% water content drops a typical DOT3 fluid boiling point to around 369 degrees. 2% takes it to about 320. 3% drops it to 293, dangerously close to the federal minimum. Topping off does absolutely nothing to fix this. The contaminated fluid is still sitting in the calipers, the wheel cylinders, and the ABS lines, forming acids and corroding metal from the inside out. Family handyman citing ASE Mastertech Bob LaCivita says it bluntly. Rust and corrosion floating in the brake system can clog and ruin expensive ABS pumps and valves. A top-off is what a shop offers when they do not want to do the actual labor and do not want to refuse the ticket. It looks like care. It is neglect, dressed up in a clipboard. The cost when the ABS module fails is brutal. RepairPal lists ABS control module replacement at $1,174 to $1,301 on average. Every time you accept a top-off in place of a flush, you are paying for the cheap version of a service that compounds into a 4-figure repair. Now the next one is where dealers actively count on your confusion, and they have a very specific reason to keep it that way. This is the mistake that quietly sends people to a parts store, buys the wrong bottle, and destroys their master cylinder seals. Mistake number 3, the wrong DOT specification. Walk through any Walmart auto aisle and you will see DOT3, DOT4, DOT5, and DOT 5.1 sitting next to each other on the same shelf with the same size bottles at different prices, and there is exactly zero guidance on any of the bottles about what fits your car. Most drivers grab whichever one is cheapest or whichever one they have heard of. Both of those are the wrong way to choose. Here's the difference that matters. DOT5 is silicone-based and cannot be mixed with any of the glycol-based fluids without destroying your seals and contaminating the entire system. Mix DOT5 into a DOT3 system and you can need a complete flush plus new master cylinder seals, which Car Gurus places between $250 and $600 for the master cylinder alone before labor. That is a mistake that costs $600, and it happens because a bottle looked similar on a shelf. Manufacturers know most drivers will not read the cap on the reservoir. They print the spec in the smallest possible letters on the reservoir lid and sell whichever fluid happens to be sitting on their parts shelf that day. If you tow a trailer with DOT3 in a system designed for DOT4, you are running a fluid that boils more than 45 degrees lower than the engineer specified for your exact load and driving conditions. Pedal fade on a steep grade with a loaded trailer is not a freak event. It is the predictable outcome of using whichever bottle was cheapest at checkout. The dealer parts counter knows exactly which spec your car needs. They have it in their system the moment you pull into the service lane. They just do not volunteer it unless you specifically ask. The next mistake is the one almost every driver is making right now without realizing it, and it is the most expensive of them all. Mistake number 2, ignoring the 2-year interval entirely. Here is what is actually happening inside your brake fluid right now. whether you have changed it or not. Brake fluid is hygroscopic. That means it pulls water straight out of the atmosphere, through the vent in your master cylinder cap, through the rubber brake hoses, and through every microscopic gap in the system. You cannot stop this. It is chemistry. According to Advix, the brake supplier that builds OEM parts for Toyota and Honda, brake fluid absorbs around 1% moisture per year of normal driving. After 2 years, you are sitting at 2 to 3% water by volume. That number sounds small. It is not. According to refractometer maker Misco, 2% water in DOT3 brake fluid drops the boiling point by approximately 135 degrees Fahrenheit. In DOT4, the drop is around 81 degrees. When you are riding the brakes down a mountain pass with a loaded vehicle on a hot summer day, the fluid in your calipers is already being pushed toward its limit. Add water-degraded boiling point, and that limit moves toward you fast. The water in the fluid turns to steam. Steam compresses where liquid does not. Your pedal goes to the floor. The technical term is vapor lock. The everyday term is you do not stop. Most owner manuals from Toyota, Honda, Ford, and General Motors specify brake fluid replacement every 2 years or 30,000 miles, whichever comes first. AutoZone publishes the same interval. The Advix Technical Bulletin confirms it. And yet, according to the Car Care Council vehicle inspection lane data, the majority of vehicles inspected at community events show brake fluid that has not been changed in 5 years or more. Owners on enthusiast forums report going 80,000, even 100,000 miles without ever opening the reservoir. At 5 years, the fluid is well past 4% water. The boiling point has dropped below the federal minimum. The corrosion inhibitors are exhausted. The fluid is no longer clear amber. It is dark brown or nearly black, and it is doing damage every time you press the pedal. And then the math turns brutal. A corroded caliper costs between $150 and $500 per corner to replace. On all 4 corners, that is up to $2,000. A pitted master cylinder runs between $250 and $600. Steel brake line repairs run between $80 and $180 each, and full-line jobs hit $450 to $1,200 in Rust Belt states. The fluid change you skip to save $120 cost you somewhere between $500 and $3,000 in cascading repairs, and a shop that never reminded you it was due. But the next mistake is not just a money problem. It is the one that puts you in a body shop or a hospital, and no dealer will warn you because they only see your car after the failure. Mistake number 1, the high mileage, no flush, ever approach. There's a category of driver who treats brake fluid the way most people treat spare tire air pressure. Set it once, forget it exists, deal with the consequences when they arrive. The thinking goes like this: the car still stops, the pedal feels fine, the warning light is off. Why pay $150 for a service the car does not seem to need? That logic makes sense until the moment it does not, and by then it is too late to make a different decision. The reality, according to ASE certified technicians cited across Family Handyman, Car Gurus, and Kelley Blue Book, is that brake fluid failure is not gradual in the way you feel it from the driver's seat. The pedal still feels firm right up until the day the fluid boils on a long downhill with a loaded car, or the ABS pump seizes during a hard stop on a wet road at 40 miles per hour. The brake system is a sealed hydraulic safety device, and sealed hydraulic safety devices do not give you a warning rattle or a check engine light. They just stop working. Kelley Blue Book quotes a national average brake fluid flush at $173 to $205. AAA roadside data shows the average tow call for brake failure runs between $125 and $275 before the repair starts. And if the failure happens at highway speed, you are no longer looking at a maintenance bill. You are looking at a collision repair estimate, an insurance deductible, possibly an injury claim, and a totaled vehicle. Forum threads on Bob is the Oil Guy in Edmonds are full of owners who waited too long, ended up with $1,300 ABS modulator replacements, and discovered that ABS damage from contaminated fluid is specifically excluded from most warranties because it is considered a maintenance failure, not a manufacturing defect. The dealer knew. They just did not say anything. The single most expensive thing you can do to your brake system is nothing at all. Now we get to the part that actually saves you money. Before we get to the $15 trick that completely changes the math on this whole problem, hit subscribe right now because what I am about to show you contradicts almost everything quick lube shops and dealership service writers have told you. The next thing I cover is the exact method, the exact tool, and the exact fluid that ASE Master Techs use on their own personal vehicles. Not their customers' vehicles, their own. Number 5 on the solution side, brake fluid test strips. Before you do anything else, you need to know what you are actually working with. A dealer charges $50 to $70 to run this exact diagnostic with a handheld electronic tester. A strip you bought online does the same thing in 60 seconds for $2. Here's exactly how to do it. Step 1. Park the car on level ground and pop the hood. Step 2. Find the master cylinder reservoir. It is the translucent plastic tank with a black cap, usually sitting near the firewall on the driver's side. Step 3. Wipe the cap clean with a paper towel before you open it so no dirt falls into the fluid. Step 4. Open the cap and dip one test strip into the fluid for 60 seconds. Step 5. Pull it out and compare the color against the chart printed on the package. The strips do not test for moisture directly. They test for copper. According to a technical bulletin from B Pro Auto, copper is a reliable proxy for internal corrosion. As the corrosion inhibitors in the fluid deplete over time, copper from the steel brake lines begins to dissolve into the fluid. More copper in the fluid means more purple on the strip, which means the inhibitors are gone, regardless of what the fluid looks like visually. Clear amber fluid can still fail the strip test. Dark fluid can sometimes pass if it was recently changed. The visual color of brake fluid tells you almost nothing. The strip tells you everything. A pack of test strips runs $8 to $12 and contains enough strips to test your car several times over. The job a dealer charges $50 to $70 to perform, you just did in your driveway for under $2. Number 4. The Brake Fluid Moisture Pen Tester. If you want to step up from the strips, an electronic moisture tester gives you a precise percentage readout instead of a color comparison. A shop charges $60 to run this test. The tool costs $15. The Power-Built Universal LED tester runs $15 to $25 on Amazon and works on DOT3, DOT4, and DOT 5.1 fluids. Here is exactly how to use it. Step 1. Find the master cylinder, the black cap near the firewall on the driver's side. Step 2. Wipe the cap clean with a paper towel before opening. Step 3. Dip the tester prongs 1 inch into the fluid for 5 seconds. Step 4. Read the LEDs. Green means you are fine. Yellow means schedule a flush at your next oil change. Red means flush this week, not next month. The Land Auto Repair in Cleveland notes that most conductivity and moisture testers flag service at 2 to 3% water by volume, which is the same threshold OEM service procedures use as the trigger point for replacement. For $20 and 40 seconds of your time, you have the same diagnostic capability a shop is charging $60 to provide. Run this test at every oil change to track the trend in your specific vehicle. Number 3. The right brake fluid bottle. Quality matters here, but not in the way the marketing suggests, and the parts counter at any dealer is actively counting on your confusion to charge you more for the same chemistry. A dealer will quote you $60 or more for a bottle of manufacturer-approved fluid that is chemically identical to a $15 quart at AutoZone. The approval is a sticker. The fluid is the same. Here's how to pick correctly without paying dealer markup. Step 1. Open your hood and look directly at the master cylinder cap. The DOT specification is printed there in small letters. Step 2. Write down exactly whether it says DOT3, DOT4, or DOT 5.1. Step 3. Ignore DOT 5 entirely. That is a silicone-based fluid for specialty applications only. Step 4. Go to AutoZone, Walmart, or Amazon and buy a quart of Valvoline, Castrol, Bosch, or Motul in the exact specification printed on your cap. Motul published specs put DOT4 dry boiling point at 473 degrees Fahrenheit and the wet boiling point at 316 degrees, well above federal minimums and comparable to fluids that sell for 3 times the price at a dealer. A quality DOT3 or DOT4 bottle costs between $6 and $20. Spending $50 on a racing grade fluid for a daily driver commuter is a marketing trap. Match the spec on the cap, pick a major brand. Stop there. Number 2. The suction tool. This is the unsung hero of brake maintenance and almost nobody talks about it because no shop can bill you labor to watch you use one. A shop will not offer this service. They want the full flush at $150, not the 10-minute version that costs $8 in materials and cuts them completely out of the transaction. A simple fluid extractor or a clean turkey baster dedicated to brake fluid use only costs between $8 and $20 at any auto parts store. Here's exactly how to use it. Step 1. Park on level ground and pop the hood. Step 2. Wipe the master cylinder cap with a paper towel, and open it. Step 3. Insert the baster or extractor tube into the reservoir and draw out the old fluid. Step 4. Never go below the minimum fill line marked on the side of the reservoir. If you pull air into the brake lines, you have a much bigger problem to deal with. Step 5. Squirt the old fluid into a sealed waste container for proper disposal. Step 6. Refill the reservoir to the maximum fill line with fresh fluid that matches the spec printed on the cap. Step 7. Close the cap firmly and wipe any spill immediately. Brake fluid is caustic and will damage painted surfaces on contact. According to ASE Master Tech Bob Lasivita in Family Handyman, the tool must be dedicated exclusively to brake fluid. Do not use the same baster for anything else, and do not use a baster that has been used for cooking or any other fluid. This is not a full system flush. A full flush pushes new fluid through the calipers and bleeder screws at all 4 wheels. But this removes the most contaminated fluid in the entire system, the fluid sitting at the top of the reservoir, directly exposed to atmospheric moisture through the cap vent. It is the oldest, wettest, most degraded fluid in the circuit. Removing it and replacing it with fresh fluid makes an immediate difference. 10 minutes. That is the whole job. And number 1, the single most cost-effective brake maintenance habit you can build: the quarterly suction and refill at the master cylinder. This is the $15 trick. A dealer will not offer this service because it eliminates the justification for their full flush visit. Here is exactly how it works. Sourced from longtime technicians on Bob is the Oil Guy and confirmed in published family handyman procedures. Every 3 months, or at every oil change interval, whichever comes first, you do the following. Step 1. Clean the master cylinder cap with a paper towel to keep debris out of the system. Step 2. Open the cap and set it aside on a clean rag. Step 3. Use a clean fluid extractor or dedicated turkey baster to draw the old fluid from the reservoir, stopping before you hit the minimum fill line. Step 4. Dispose of the old fluid in a sealed waste container. Step 5. Refill the reservoir to the maximum fill line with fresh DOT3 or DOT4 fluid that matches the specification printed on your cap. Step 6. Close the cap firmly. That is the complete procedure. Why does this work when it is not a full flush? Because brake fluid is hygroscopic. Fresh, dry fluid added to the top of the reservoir does not just sit there. Every time you press the brake pedal, fluid moves back and forth through the entire system. Through the lines, through the ABS modulator, through the calipers, and back. That circulation mixes the new dry fluid with the contaminated fluid throughout the system. The new fluid actively pulls moisture away from the older fluid through differential concentration, according to a thread on Bob is the Oil Guy referencing a Saab factory service engineer. Drivers who perform this quarterly top-off report that when they eventually do a full 4-wheel bleed, the fluid coming out at the calipers is dramatically cleaner than vehicles that were only serviced every 2 years. You are diluting the contamination continuously instead of letting it build for 2 years and then paying a shop to fix it in one session. The math is the entire point. A 1-quart bottle of quality DOT4 fluid costs around $15 and gives you 4 to 6 quarterly refills. A turkey baster or fluid extractor is a one-time purchase of $8 to $15. Brake fluid test strips run $8 to $12 per pack. Total annual investment to maintain your brake fluid properly at home, $20 to $30 per year. Compare that to $200 every 2 years at the dealer, which works out to $100 per year, and you are saving $70 to $80 annually every year for the entire life of the vehicle. Across a 10-year ownership period, that is $700 to $800 saved, with cleaner fluid than the dealer schedule produces and ABS modules that are dramatically less likely to need a $1,500 replacement. Mechanics hate this trick because it cuts them out of a service line item that takes 30 minutes and bills at $150 every time. The fluid does not care who pours it. Bottom line, the brake fluid economy is rigged against you from the moment you drive off the lot, but the fix is $15 and 20 minutes every 3 months. Cheap maintenance is the most expensive brand on the shelf when you finally pay the ABS bill. Now I want to know, when was the last time anyone, any shop, any dealer, any mechanic sat you down and told you to check your brake fluid, not mentioned it on an upsell sheet, actually explained what happens when you do not? Drop the answer in the comments. Has your garage ever warned you about the 2-year interval? Tell me below and tell me what you drive. And if you want the next piece, the brake pads sold at every major chain that wear your rotors twice as fast and cost you $600 more over the life of your car, that one is already up. Watch it before your next pad change.